Well, by now you guys have seen the first part of the tractor video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to roll right into the second part here, and I hope you guys enjoy this one as well. And if you don't mind at the end, if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button and share and subscribe, and hope you guys enjoy the show.
This is a Farmall 460. This tractor is kind of special. It belonged to a neighbor. We actually rent his farm, Paul Sneer. Paul Sneer bought this tractor at an auction, took it home, and if I remember correctly, he started a disc with it or something, and then the motor gave him trouble. And so he was going to get a short block. He went to the dealership to get a short block, and they had a 656 industrial motor there in a crate, and they made him a better price on that. So they put that motor in his tractor. So this tractor is juiced up a little. It's more like a 560 gas than a 460 gas. It did require doing a little elongation of the manifold hole up there on top. And the carburetor, when we got it, the carburetor worked backwards. You pulled it out to run the tractor and in to choke it, and that just drove me crazy. So I had to do some work on the linkage so it works properly. Now you pull it out to choke it and in to run it. The tractor has a lot of power. We've had the solid state ignition put in it since. New tires on the back, the tires were shot. And another tractor that came home, the only paint was where there was oil. It was pretty rusty. In all the years I went by the farm, I don't ever remember seeing this tractor inside much, and I never actually saw the grill on the tractor. I was surprised when I went to the sale there was a grill. And I mentioned it, and he says, oh, it was up in the barn, just never took the time to put it back on. But we try to make our tractors complete. I should have mentioned that earlier. I try to find weight boxes, so they have weight boxes. A lot of our tractors have IH wheel weights. This tractor and the 560 diesel have the international swinging drawbar. I don't know, you IH guys will know what I'm talking about, but most people just put a plate on the fast hitch and pull on the fast hitch. This drawbar here actually mounts and bolts to the pin on the front of your fast hitch under the belly of the tractor. And I learned this little trick from Jacobs, the guy I bought the 560 from. We put stabilizers on here that keeps the fast hitch from swinging back and forth so they pull straight. So that 560 had it, so I put that on this tractor as well. This has fenders, and it has about everything you can get. It's got the fancy, the deluxe pre-cleaner, both of them do. Tried to put everything on here that was available to make it as luxurious as a tractor could be, I guess. Anything that was missing we tried to source out. I have gotten some stuff from TMS Equipment. That's an IH salvage yard not too far from here. These little doors right here, frequently when you find these old ones, these are missing. This one had that, the other one I had to find. But this tractor runs really well. It's a gas tractor though, so gas tractors are a little different than diesels. You gotta fuss with them a little bit when they first start. But it does run good. That tractor there is one we rake hay with. That's its main job. We've got 2 New Holland rakes on a hydraulic rake hitch, and that's what we use it for a lot. And in the spring of the year, I pull the fertilizer tender. We have dry granular fertilizer we put through a corn planter. I pull the tender with that. That tractor's fast. It gets me from farm to farm and back up to get refilled fast. So it's fast on the road. This tractor here is an 856. I don't know a lot about the history of the tractor. It has a Nebraska implement dealer tag, so once upon a time it was in Nebraska. It was at Rod Morrison's, Morrison Equipment over here. I bought it from him. Strong running tractor, runs very well. I mow hay with it. In the spring of the year we have our own turbo till, vertical tillage tool we built out of a 3800 International disc. About 14 feet wide. We pull that with this tractor. And it probably works 75–80% of our bean ground that way. And then if it's needed, you know, they all pinch hit on the feed grinder, you know, whatever's handy. And sometimes this one's on the grinder in the summer. But I've always had a thing for 856s. It's a nice tractor. It used to be in this area, dairy country, this was the big tractor around here for many years. There weren't many 12 or 14 56s sold in this area unless you were a big farmer. Most of the dairy farms around here, if they had a 56, the 856 was the big dog. It was the one on the chopper. A lot of them pulled 6-bottom plows in this area. But another nice Really nice tractor. We have always had small square bales on this farm. We toyed with the idea of a large square baler. At one point in time we were going to buy a used one, and then finances being what they were, situation changed and we weren't able to go that way, so we limped along for a couple more years struggling to find help, and we decided to go to small square bales, only mechanize them, mechanize the handling of them. This baler here is a SB 541. It's equivalent to a 575 New Holland. It's the big baler. It has a thrower, hydraulic driven thrower on it, hydraulic tension on the bales. Very nice baler. We bought a SB 541C. The C designates it as being a commercial baler. The difference being, instead of just one hydraulic ram putting pressure on the beam to tighten the bales, now you have hydraulic pressure on both sides of the bale case as well. Kind of dusty and hard to see, but there's hydraulic cylinders on both sides.
Yeah, and turn pushes some wedges in here.
Yep.
It's hard to see.
So you also have side pressure in addition to the vertical beam pressure. So what you're doing is you're increasing the density of that bale. You can make twice the weight of bale with this machine. Now you can't run it through a thrower. A thrower, I don't think it would throw it. And then on the back, you have options. You can pull accumulators. We elected to go with a quarter turn. We drop them on the ground. We have New Holland stack wagons that we use to pick them up, and you'll see that. We're going to do some hay videos this summer. But the model that we bought is a 1034 made by New Holland. The reason we bought that model is because it unloads off the front as well. Most stack wagons, you have to take it up, stand the stack up, and drive out from under it. We wanted to be able to bring that hay back forward one row at a time. And right behind Ben here, we have a tool called a grabber. These are hay hooks that are hydraulically operated on cams going across here. And what you do is you'll have a set of 15 bales here, 3 bales deep, 5 bales wide. You'll hit the hydraulic cylinder once you're sitting on the flat of bales. These hooks go in, and then you pick it up, and the hooks are supporting the bales. And we have a big skid steer. We put this on, bring it up the barn bank, and we bring them in here and we stack them. This hay right here is some of our premium quality hay, cow hay, but you can stack those bales seven layers high. These bales weigh 80 to 100 pounds, about double what the old bales did. So it'd be like if you're stacking them 14 high, the old way. The beauty of it is you've eliminated the labor. Ben and I can do this ourselves. We don't have to have the help to help unload and mow the hay. The downside is it's a little harder to get the barn as full. It's hard to get into your corners. We do a little bit of hand stacking, but we've done a pretty good job of reconfiguring things so we can get enough feed in here using this system. We took out one beam, and we've done a lot of work on our barn floors. I know you can't probably see it as well because of the chaff, but all these floors we've decked with 3/4 inch plywood, screwed it down. So now you aren't pulling any boards loose when you slide your skid steer turning in here. And that's heifer hay over there. We have been baling the straw with the kick baler through this year as well. This year we're going to start to transition to mechanized straw as well. The thought is eventually to phase out the kick baler altogether and do it all mechanically. At that point in time, we wouldn't need a kick baler anymore, and we can sell our wagons. Last year we did sell one elevator that we used to use for hay because we do all the hay this way now. So we got rid of one elevator. But it's been a game changer for us as far as the labor situation. And it makes a nice quality bale. These bales are very heavy, very tight. They hold the leaves. They're very solid. They're kind of like a brick. I like them. They stack nice. Kick bales, if you're familiar with baling, kick bales, when they go in the wagon, they get slightly distorted, kind of U-shaped, a little harder to mow. These bales come out of the baler, they're perfectly square. They just come out and they just plunk right on their side. You pick them up, they're always handled square. They're not twisted or anything, and they stack nice. The downside is you do not have them locked in like you do when you mow the other way, so There's a learning curve to stacking. I've had some stacks fall. You need to learn to get your pile leaning against something a little bit, and you have to plan your turns, and that thing takes some room to turn. You put that on the front of a long skid steer, you know, you've got some distance there. You got to plan, you know, how you put it in there so you can work your way back out of the mow. But it does work nicely. We have had to mechanize a little bit how you handle these. You obviously can't carry 200-pound bales, so we have these little sack carts around. There's another one over here that we use to move the bales with. You can put 3 on there, 2 easily, 3 if you're feeling energetic, and you can wheel these bales around. And so that's what we use these carts for. And we have lots of these carts, and you try to put the hay close to where you use it. And you drop it down, you don't want to have to move it too far. We do use hay hooks a lot now, didn't used to. You have to drag them sometimes. And a hay hook helps you pick them up too. Makes it easier to pick them up. So now, the mow we're standing in right here is the cow mow. This has always been the mow we use for the milk cow hay. This was a difficult mow physically to do. Our elevator would come in there and it wouldn't drop it in here very far. You had to carry it all the way back through. There's over 400 bales on a layer in here. By the time you got this mow full in the summer, you were pretty wore out. This was a big job to fill this mow. And it took a lot of help. I mean, 2 guys, it just wore you to death. One on the wagon and one in here dragging them all the way back through there. It wore out your legs. You know, it's just hard on your body. And it's really nice now. We can almost fill this in a day, day and a half now with the new system. It's amazing how fast you can put up hay with that system. But this mow here feeds the milk cows. Now, we used to have hay fed in a shared hay rack in between the 2 groups here. And the hay was fed separately, and that's what that catwalk was for. You put the bales up there and you throw in so many every feeding. But the problem was it wasn't a true TMR, and sometimes the cows would eat good hay and they wouldn't eat the TMR, or they'd eat the TMR and they wouldn't eat the hay. And if you want a balanced ration, you need the hay mixed in with it. The mixer we have, we have a stationary mixer. You might have seen in one of the previous videos. We had a tumbler mixer. It was like a cement mixer. You could mix grain, corn silage, and haylage in there, but you could not put long stem forage in there because you couldn't get it back out. There was no way to cut it and blend it and force it out. We went to a vertical mixer like most modern dairies have today. It's like your wife's blender. If you can visualize the blender you use to make milkshakes and whatever. It's just a tub with a vertical knife auger inside. And what we do with that is we put this baled hay in there and it gets cut. There's knives on that, and we run it a certain amount of time so we get the fiber length that we want. It's blended with all the other ingredients and it comes out nice and uniform. So that has been a big improvement. 2013 we put that mixer in, and this big long conveyor is custom made for us. Rizzler in Pennsylvania is the company that built this conveyor for us.
Show them.
Go out here, yeah. Originally, I ordered this conveyor with the intentions of going to large square bales. This conveyor is 3 feet wide, so we could put slices of big square bales on here, and that's why we had it built this way. Well, the big square baler did not come into fruition, but you can still put 2 slices wide on these small square bales. So that's what we do. And we put these on here and they run over and they dump in the mixer. And now we can feed our hay by the pound. Everything is by the pound. It's blended. It is a true TMR, which has increased our herd health, or improved our herd health, our butter fat, and now we have a real good handle on everything, so we can feed our inventory correctly. We don't run out of anything. The cows are not gobbling one thing and not the other. Everything is a balanced diet. Every meal is the same. So it's really been a nice system for us. And so that's, if any of you guys wanted to know how the hay got there, it comes in here, we cut the strings, we hook it onto here, it goes across, we have a switch on there, we watch the scales, we feed it by the pound. This is actually the first ingredient that's added in our order of mixing. We add the hay first. Our mixture has a 2-speed on the actual auger in the mixer, and we cut this up on high speed for a certain number of minutes, and that gets the particle size of what we want, of what we have. The mixer is over there
That blue thing down there in the room, if you can.
There's a conveyor that
See
comes
that
up. We call the incline conveyor. It brings it from the mixer up, and we have a diverter there. And that way it gives you a choice of dropping it on that bunk over there or this one over here. And this cross conveyor does just what the name implies. It brings it across the barn. There's another conveyor there shooting through the wall. That's for dry cow feed. Pre-fresh group is fed in there, and there's another diverter there, so we have actually a diverter on a diverter. But these feeders were put in 1987. Yeah, I was just out of college. We put in a tumbler mixer in these feeders. They've been in here a long time. They're kind of obsolete. It's hard to get parts. We have actually made a deal. We have new feeders bought. They're actually sitting at Mass Luckily right now, waiting on warmer weather to work with bare hands and bolts, but there's going to be some new valve metal feeders put in here very soon. Very similar design. It's also a belt feeder, a little higher capacity, a little simpler drive on them, but they're going to be put in much the same way that what you see here right now. And that'll probably be a video in the future, the actual removal and installation of that equipment. But we have two groups of cows, and that's how we used to have a high and low production group, but the cows are all fed the same now. They're just grouped separately just to maintain the herd in quantities that fit the parlor nicely. But that's a little bit about the feeding system too. Here we have a 756 diesel. I bought this tractor from Rod Morrison again. Second tractor I bought. I went over there, I was going to buy a 666 and I couldn't afford it, but I found this, and this was actually a better tractor. It's got a better transmission and just a heavier tractor. I did have this tractor overhauled. It has a little nicer valve train on top now. I don't remember all the details of the mechanic, but we upgraded that. We did put, and it cavitated, so we put the coolant conditioner on here to hopefully ward that off from happening again. A lot of our tractors have that, the coolant conditioner, the wet sleeve engines. This tractor, I put new tires on the back. Has had a clutch. This is actually a new tractor again because it turned over.
It's 10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
Year.
Yeah.
I think it's up to 11 now.
Up to 1,100. So, yeah, it's got a lot of hours on it, but it's a good tractor. Very nice tractor. We mow hay with it, grind feed with it, pulls almost all the 4-H wagons. It's just a really nice tractor. This is the newest tractor we have. This is an 8920. 1999 is it, or 94?
95 or 99, I can't remember.
Okay. This tractor came from New York. We're pretty sure it was on a large farm pushing sides with a blade because it has a joystick in the cab for a single stick remote. A lot of outlets on the other side, like you could have a front mounted blade. The tractor's paint was terrible. I think it spent a lot of time outside. The paint was almost gone. Pretty bleached out. Ben totally repainted it. We put new decals on it. It looks a lot better. It's a little dusty and dirty right now. But it had like new rubber on it. And I talked to Bill Winkler, my tire guy, before I bought it. Asked him about the tires because I wasn't familiar with BKT tires. But he said the BKT radials were pretty good tires, and he said that there was almost $5,000 worth of rubber on this tractor. So there's a lot of value there in the tires. This tractor has a huge drawbar. I'm not exactly sure. I've never seen another Magnum with a drawbar quite like it. But it's really, really wide. So I don't know if they pulled a big manure tank with it or what, but that's a very beefy drawbar. But this tractor here we use to chisel plow with. And right now the snow is so deep in the field. I normally spread with a 10, but I got to where I couldn't get through the field without scratching. And before this last big snow, we went ahead and made the switch. And this tractor here will run over it or through it, or it'll go through the snow. So use it on the grain cart in the fall, which is really nice because you need some power to pull those. And that grain cart, as Ben talked about it in the fall, has been a time saver for us. It helps get grain from way back in the sticks out where you need it. So it's a nice tractor. The power shift is nice. I like these Magnums. I wish we had more of them, but for now we have one. We got some more over here. This is the first international tractor that my father-in-law and I bought together. This tractor came from Indiana, a little 70-acre farm. This tractor had actually 300 hours on it when we bought it. It was like brand new. At the time it had 16 938s on the back. Those tires eventually wore out. I put 18 438s on it. I pulled the corn planter with this tractor. I wanted a little bit more rubber, and so we went with the taller tire. Of course, when I raised it up, then it made it hard to get on, so we made our customized steps here. Make it a little easier to get on. But this is a very nimble tractor. For planting, it turns very tight. And with our 6-row planter, if you like to go out and turn around, come right back in without a huge headland. The contour strips we have, we don't really, some of those we don't even put headlands on at all. We just plant right out to the end of the grass driveway. So this tractor is very nice for planting corn. We also use it to haul grain with. It's pretty fuel efficient, pretty fast on the road. And it pinch hits feed grinding. And this used to be the baler tractor until we bought the we haven't seen the
766 across the road.
Yeah. This used to be the baler tractor, and now it is again, because now we have the 541C. So this tractor also gets hooked to a baler. And so this is now doing the square baling with the commercial baler. Nice tractor, 358 German diesel, pretty fuel efficient tractor. And it does have the coolant system conditioner on the engine to prevent the cavitation problem. It has been a good tractor for us. It starts very good. When the power goes out around here, this one goes on the generator, because this thing will start down to about 0 with no problem. And when the power's out and you have cows, you gotta feed, you gotta milk, you gotta water them. And so we have to make our own electricity if we don't have it. So it's also a generator tractor. This one back here, 666. I guess you can't see this underneath the brassiere here, but 666 diesel. This has a 312 engine. That's my favorite engine. They have a 310 also. The 310 is actually the same one as in the 756, but I like the 312 a little better in these. I had a 666 with the 310. This seems like it's got a little more zip. It's got that big American Bosch pump like the 66 series, the 10s and 14s do. It's a nice tractor, a lot of power per weight, probably more power than weight. It spins out pretty easy. We pull 4H wagons with it. Yeah, it's a load. It's a little hard to stop, but
you gotta have the right operator to start slowing down.
The right operator. It has been used for grinding feed. We have mowed hay with it. Sometimes we have a lot of rain in the summer and the ground gets soft. This tractor is light, so you can mow hay. You don't track the field. In the wintertime, we've got an angle blade on here. Once in a while we want to blade the slush off, or we get some loose snow on there we want to get rid of. We got an angle blade, and Rod Morrison was very nice to me. He gave me that heat houser. That heat houser is not for this tractor. We're good at making things fit. I think that's actually a rear entry heat houser, probably for an M or a...
I want to say he said 400 diesel when
400
he
diesel?
off.
Okay, it might have been for 400 then. But we made some brackets, we made her fit. And boy, on a cold winter day, those are nice. It takes the wind off of you, and we use it to blade, like I said, blade snow off. We use that blade also for grading in the spring, backfilling tile and whatnot. So yeah, this tractor gets a lot of use too. It's a nice tractor. And it's fast on the road also. So this one gets hooked to the seed tender for beans in the spring. The seed wagon. This one here pulls the seed wagon. So I guess that's all the international tractors. We do have an international semi tractor over here. We've got a 1981 S1900, belonged to a neighbor. He actually bought the truck with the intention of using the engine for tractor pulling. He was quite the tractor puller. And I remember looking out my window, seeing it up behind his shop, sitting back here for many, many years, wondering what was ever going to happen to it. Well, then he moved up the road, and the truck moved. I kind of lost track of where it was. Well, he finally passed away, and they had it at the auction, and Ben and I went to the auction, and I don't think we were planning on buying a truck that day.
No plans.
But it was cheap, so we bought it. It was white. The cab was mashed on the one corner. The doors were in bad shape. The nice thing about this S Series International trucks, almost up to current production, the doors all fit. So those doors are off of a very late model truck, but they fit right on there. We got new doors, and we painted it up and did some cosmetic work, and it makes a nice truck for us. We got that single axle grain hopper this last spring. We used that last fall for harvest, and that's a perfect match for that truck. So now we can move grain a little faster and Got a truck that handles it nicely with air brakes. This is an International 385 tractor. When I bought this tractor, it was consigned at Sterling Farm Equipment by a doctor in Medina County. I don't know what he had it for, brush hogging or what it was, but he used it very little. Had 85 actual hours on it when I got it. Still had plastic on the seat. It has the dirtiest job on the farm, unfortunately. We try to wash it up when we have time, try and keep it looking nice. But once again, it's another example of the International swept-back front axle. We have, I guess I should have pointed it out when we were up on the catwalk earlier, we have a tight turn on this farm in the low group feeding area where you have to go right around the bump in a U shape. Not much room. And with this swept-back axle, it makes that possible. This tractor is fairly heavy. That's a fairly heavy box scraper. In the wintertime, our manure freezes out here, and so pulling a box full of frozen manure is a load. That's actually the second set of tires on there. We just put new tires on it last year. The original tires from 1985 lasted until just this last year. Now the front tires, we've changed a few of those. Haven't done a whole lot with this tractor. We have changed the starter, I think, once or twice. Alternators have been worked on a couple times. Basically, it's a matter of changing oil and just regular maintenance. This tractor did have a ROPS on we had to remove because it wouldn't go under our feeders, and I had to modify the muffler. As you'll see, it's kind of a stubby one, but that's so it would go underneath the conveyors in a couple places. And I made this guard for the front because people tend to run into things, and they have damaged this recently. They hit something with it and broke the corner of that, but that's what that guard's for, is to keep it from damaging the front of the tractor. Very nice tractor for utility work. Their utility series with that axle is very nimble. Very good loader tractors, scraper tractors. And this tractor here, I can't remember how many hours we're on now. 2,300 hours, yeah. Diesel. We have a block heater on a timer, and that comes on preceding when we need it. We scrape twice a day, so it has to come on at a certain time to be warm, ready to go when we go to scrape. So another nice tractor, very good on fuel, by the way, also very fuel efficient. This is a 766 black stripe. This came from a farm east of us over toward Marshallville. The gentleman's last name was Shuhei. He had a 766, a 966, and I think maybe a couple small tractors. The time we bought this, Ben would have been
9 years old.
9 years old. Ben went to the sale with me that day, and I knew how much money I had to spend, and we were down to our last bid, and I put in the last bid, and I was sweating bullets, and I think he was too, because we were afraid we weren't going to get it, and we got it. I was elated. Well, hence starts another problem. We drove over there in a little Ford Ranger, so now we have a truck and a tractor to bring home, and we had friends there that had bought a plow, and they wanted me to bring the plow part way home. It was on the way to their farm with the tractor. So Ben had limited experience driving the Ranger. He had some. So the one thing that worried me is we had to cross one main highway on the way home. It was a two-laner, but it was a high-speed road. So I figured once we got across there, we had it made. And at that time, he kind of looked between the steering wheel and the dash was his line of sight. So we started the journey home. We got to that highway, and I made sure that it was as clear as far as the eye could see, and I went across. And as soon as he was across, I was relieved. And so he drove that Ranger all the way home. And that was a pretty good drive. It was at least 9 or 10 miles over that sale. But that's where this tractor came from. Very nice tractor. Initially, we had a little bit of work done on the shifting mechanism. John Winker did a little fine tuning on the shifting forks and stuff in there. There's a couple of things you can replace. But other than that, it's been a very good tractor. It came with, like new rubber, it came with really nice paint. We put the toolbox on. This tractor is hooked to the baler, the thrower baler. Spends a lot of time on there. We do have a second spreader. Sometimes we run two. It helps with spread manure. We've mowed hay with it, ground feed with it. It's done a lot of things, but this is a very nice sized tractor. 85 horse, 6-cylinder. Once again, the big Bosch pump, like that on this 66 series tractors. These are just beautiful tractors. Had a lot of nice features. And so I think if my count is correct, I have a friend that told me we have 26 tractors. He wrote them all down one time. So if we did it right, this should be number 26, so we should be to the end. So, and they all have a job. So, and they all have a little story. So, and we like them. Try to take good care of them, keep them inside, keep them clean as we can. So, I guess that's the end of that.
Yeah, this is the last tractor, I guess, of the
Fleet.
the tractor tour, you could say, but had a couple guys asking for an equipment tour, so we walked through and videoed it, and we hope you guys enjoyed, and I guess as always, God bless, and we'll see you guys on the next video.